All righty. We are live, right? I think we're live. This is Transparency and Merit. I'm here with Joe and Brian. I'm Joe. Oh, that's Brian. You're mute. You're muted. There you go.
So let's cut the music real quick. There we are. I was really lazy today, and as I have been for a while, I'm more lazy than I am hardworking, and that's one of my struggles. My own personal struggles is through laziness. Joe, do you have anything?
I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you right now. Without getting too philosophical, imagine a world where you didn't receive a paycheck that said at the bottom, pay to the order of. What if you had money going directly to you for your labor and your energy and your time? Would you be a happier person than going to the same place every day and hustling for that check that, for whatever reason, you don't get for 2 weeks after you complete the work? Would you be a happier person?
For me, finances are not, and they are a lot of struggles. For me, my biggest problem is health-wise. And I have to
You brought up laziness. And this isn't about getting a lot of money this has nothing to do with money. This has to do with your time and energy. There's only two things that we have to offer. And if you were doing things on your own time without the constant fear of not producing, because you do produce, you have a mind, and it should be valued, and you should get what it's valued at. But that's your own thing. That's something you have to find. I'm just posing the question. Would you be happier overall? Would you be more energized in the morning? Would you be less tired if you did things on your own time rather than a scheduled time? I wonder if you've ever looked at the world that way.
I'll tell you something. I find that I personally, when my time is not scheduled and I don't have a place to be at work, I'm very unproductive.
As long as you have a job, as long as you have that commitment, it doesn't matter if you take a month off of work. That month is going to end, and you're still going to have to go back to that thing. Now, if your schedule, it's an interesting concept. I tend to disagree with you on all fronts. I think you'd be the happiest you've ever been if you found yourself without that commitment and with the strict commitment to producing, but just producing on your own terms, not. The terms you produce right now those terms are for a big system, and you're just kind of a cog in that wheel. You're just a part of that machinery. But if you were using your faculty and your energy and your time, to as a means to an end, I find that feeling that you have when you have a few days off or a week off, and it's not something that just happens. You don't just stop working, and I'm not saying stop working. And it doesn't just happen overnight, though. I'm just saying it's a full mindset sort of thing. The people I know that are the happiest in this world do not have jobs. I'll be honest. They don't, or they have their own. They may have their own business, but they don't have. They're not employees. And I'm just throwing it out there.
I am of the belief that people are the most unhappy people I've ever seen are people that are who are not employed and are receiving government assistance. It's demoralizing, and when you don't have to get up, on average, you do not. And some of the most depressed places you'll ever see, you go to any government housing project, and you will see people with some of the highest levels of depression and anger that you've ever seen. I think a lot of the people that are rioting are on government assistance. So,
all right, but you threw in a whole new factor into this. So that's, again, we're not looking for handouts. That's not what I'm suggesting. You don't want the insurance you don't want the benefits from this system, because that's what they're called. Government assistance. They come in the form of awards and benefits. And so what you're saying contradicts the whole idea of what a benefit should be, right? So a benefit should help you. So again, it's not about looking for because that's no different from it's no different from having the commitment of a job. Getting that assistance, it's not earned. It's unearned income, and it's worse than having that job commitment. So relying on that, of course, is a terrible thing, and I don't want that either. That's not, getting something for nothing is not the goal. Again, this is also what you're saying and what you're expressing shows a fundamental lack of faith that people possess. And I'm not talking about faith in the book. I'm talking about full faith in there's a issue of faith and credit in this country and in the world right now. And you know what that is? It's the banks. The banks are struggling because there is no faith and credit. It's not there. It's dwindling. But on the flip side of that, full faith and credit in ourselves, people just don't know their value. People don't know their value. And when women wake up, and realize what's been taken from them, and they all stand up and stop letting it happen, the whole system crumbles. It's as easy as a piece of paper. The pen is mightier than the sword, and pieces of paper have created this idea, this way of thinking that you're sharing. And I think it's a serious lack of faith and credit in oneself.
There has never been, in my experience, the level of uncertainty, uh, not only in America but in the world, and there is a lack of faith in oneself and in one's abilities because our educational system is not as good as it used to be, and a lot of people do not have the skills to go out there and I think a lot of people feel that they do not have the necessary skills to go out and make a meaningful living.
What are you talking about other people for? How do you know how other people feel? First of all,
I go off of statistics and educational statistics. When you have over 50% of the population that cannot pass the basic entrance exam, the ASVAB for the military, that's a lot of people that don't have basic skills and the basic skills that are needed to compete within this society. And I mean, people can feel how they're worth, but they, deep down, they know what they're worth. They know what they're worth. They know what they know, and they don't know a lot. If you test a lot, I wonder if you test a lot of people on things, on how to do things, on how to be competent and stuff. What percent would be able to do it?
competent in what?
Well, in any kind of job.
I'm not talking about jobs. I'm talking about full faith and credit in oneself. Full faith and credit in oneself. We could all be producers. Some people could roof. Some people can fix the lawn. Some people will want and won't mind cleaning toilets. Some people will be lawyers or work in law. And then some people, even without, and I'm talking about in a system, just an imaginary system, because if the insurance agencies, if the whole idea of insurance disappeared tomorrow, how many doctors would there be? Almost none. I'm guessing. We would go back to immediately overnight. We would go into a state of existence that would be far more reminiscent to how we used to live. Somebody would step up, somebody who understands the body, somebody who understands has in the real intent to help, and that person will never go hungry. Like just back in the old days, they used to not get paid. They got a place to stay and they got food to eat, and helped somebody get better.
Well, I mean, back in the day, we didn't have medical licensing. You could hold out a shingle and say, "I'm a doctor," and you could prescribe anything you wanted to anybody, and you didn't actually even need a prescription. You just, the doctor just said, "Hey, this was," and then the Food and Drug Administration came along, and there became a middleman between the doctor and you needed a degree. There was a time when to even be a plumber, it took 6 months. Now it takes 6 years to be a journeyman plumber, and there were all these things that all the barriers that you didn't have to go through, which if you could try hard and you could work, you could see where your skills took you. That's not necessarily available today to human beings. So they don't know their worth. They don't know their worth because they're not challenged. There was a time, before Uber and Lyft came along, there were cabs and things, and there was a time when all you needed to drive a cab was you could just go out on a piece of cardboard and write taxi or cab on the front of your car, and you didn't even need any licensing. You put that on your car, on your windshield or whatever, and you were in business. You could go and sell your services. That's not the case anymore. You can't go door to door and say, "Hey, I'm a plumber," But nowadays you have to get licensed. But you could get your tools and say, "There are a few things that I can do, and I can compete at this price. I can unclog your drain. I can plunge the toilet. I can, rotor it, and I can change a few pipes." I mean, there are things that I'm not expert in, but you learned on the job, and you could, you could make a living just being a journeyman, just a journeyman who worked. That's not the case anymore, and things are far more expensive today than they've ever been. Look at homes. Homes that used to cost, 30, 40, $50,000 are now over $1 million. Over, 40 years ago, 45 years ago, a lot of these homes near where I live, in the city that I live, were like $40,000, $50,000. Now they're over $1 million. Why is that? Why is it so hard for the average working man today in the part of the country where I live? Why is it so hard for them to make a living? For them to live out the American dream that my parents had, that my grandparents had? What has changed within society? What are the trade-offs that we have made within society that has made things far less obtainable? It's just a question out there. Joe, do you have a response to that? Do I make any sense to you at this time? You're on mute. You're still on mute. Joey, you're on mute. Take yourself off. There we go.
Are you familiar with the movie It's a Wonderful Life?
Yes.
So It's a Wonderful Life, for the people in power collecting everything in the world off of our backs as they sit in their leather chairs and in their nice office with their big desks, using the power of their pens and their speech rather than under the lash, so they say, right? Under the lash. They never have to literally break a sweat. Day in, year after year, lifelong. It's quite a thing. I think almost any movie by Frank Capra would also explain this, and you do well to learn the story of the Buck Act. Highly recommended. And you kind of start to see these ideas, what's changed in not that long of a period of time. I'm going to say 1933 till now, it's been a blip, right? We've got a couple generations, and now we're at a buckling system where people are feeling crippled by the stress. Where's the joy? Where's the laughter, Brian? Where's it gone? Did Frank Capra suck it out of us? Or was it FDR? Who did it?
Envy, greed, and not being satisfied with what you had has seemed to have sucked the life out of a lot of things. And I'm looking at the Buck Act as we speak, Joey.
I'm just posting it. We could go by and we should read it, step by step. And hey, maybe I'll just read a couple sentences here, if you don't mind. just from the outgo here, and this is written by a man named Richard McDonald. In order for you to understand the full import of what is happening, a few things need to be explained. Certain laws need to be explained. When passing new laws, the federal government always does everything according to the principles of law. In order for the federal government to tax a citizen of one of several states, they have to create some sort of contractual nexus. This contractual nexus is the Social Security number. And a number of movies from, I don't want to read them, go and read this, everybody. A number of movies of the period were about this. A number of great movies, or movies that were considered great, that I feel were heavily filled with propaganda and this fake sort of patriotism. But so go in and look at it. A nexus is something that connects things to other things. And in our case, it connected our thing to the Social Security system. A lot of people feel the Social Security system is what you and I were just talking about a minute ago. It's that handout system that's made people reliant on not themselves. No faith in Christ. It's an issue of faith. I'm sorry, go ahead.
How do we get people reliant on themselves? I mean, how do we get people to eat right, to work hard?
Brian, there's only one person that you need to change in this world. I can't believe you're asking that question. What are you, a governor? Are you a governor all of a sudden? You should know better than anybody. If your intent is to come on here and fix the way people eat, or fix the way other people are motivated, or fix someone's drive, then your intent is misaligned. It's maligned.
You can only fix yourself.
Is this a Stoic Calm show? Oh boy. Stoic Calm, brutal honesty.
That is correct. Yeah, you are right. I mean, you can only fix yourself. You cannot fix anybody else. And I myself, I struggle with fixing myself, my eating habits, and I choose to eat. I choose to give in to the hunger pains. I don't know how to successfully, because I think I could beat my diabetes if I were more successful with regards to eating, and that for me is my biggest struggle. And everything else, because I'm fatigued a lot and I'm tired and I go to the bathroom like 3 to 4 times a day. If I could fix that element, then all other elements for me would fall absolutely into place.
More success would equal, okay, so right off the bat, so you just, okay. I don't even want to ask you your definition of success because it's so far off base. Our success should have nothing to do with our happiness or a part of our happiness. Because who can define success? If I wake up in the morning, breathing, get out of bed and dress myself, should I consider myself a success?
If that's what you consider success, yes.
You're right, because that's what I chose to do. People who I hear a lot of, people have said, like, oh, I'll just think it into reality. Bullshit. Or God provides. Bullshit. God may provide, but it's you who's got to get out of bed or out of that chair and get your body in motion to go get it. So there is just such a I'm going to make a show. I'm going to try to do it soon because I'm itching at idea. I have so many ideas right now, but I want to do a show on faith, the system of faith and credit, and why why this is such a strong area for me. I have to be this way. I'm choosing to put faith in myself, and I'm not the best. I'm nowhere near it. I stepped in a lot of the system is set up in a way where if you don't know where you're walking, you could step in a lot of buckets of poop. And I've stepped in a lot of buckets. And I used to think, oh, that's how I learn. Hey, man, I just learned the hard way. No. I just didn't know. I didn't have the eyes to see what I see now. And I don't regret that. I don't want to go back in time or anything like that. By the way, there's no time travel, people. Get over yourselves. There's a lot of videos on time travel. Get out of here. A lot of movies on time travel to kind of push this idea to the fringes out there. Go be a fringer. I have no fringe left, Brian. I have no fringe. All in.
Yeah.
Where's one angry Jew, by the way? I would eat him up right now. I'd eat his brain.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is transparency and merit, and like I said, I have my own struggles, and I talk about, and I do look for other people for inspiration, people who've overcome great adversity and how they did it, and it is a daily struggle, I guess, for me anyway. But I'm getting inspiration on how you can do it. And the truth is you choose to do it. You choose to, or I choose to overeat. If I chose to take drugs, that would be my choice. If I chose to do something horrible, that would be my choice. You're on mute, Joey. You got something to say?
I'm listening.
So yeah, I mean, all of those things are choices, and I'm not going to eat tomorrow. I'm not going to eat tomorrow because I don't want to eat. I don't like the way I feel after I eat, so I'm going to fast for tomorrow. Even at work, I'm going to fast.
You might want to consider, in addition to a fast, because to me, I'm always looking for, a lot of people are talking about remedies, and I'm looking for cures, things that I can fix that will endure over time. And to me, it just seems fasting isn't. First of all, it's not sustainable. I mean, people do it, but to me, it's just not sustainable. My body goes through too many cycles to be able to predict whether I'll be able to fast on a given day. But Yeah, no, I forgot where I kind of stepped off the train for a second there, but we do make a lot uh, of these decisions, and how we get there. I guess that's just an individualized journey. The problem is uh, we've been so there's something called, and I probably shouldn't bring it up because I can't remember the name. But well, there's okay. Instead of doing that, the country went through such a crazy change, and I just want to talk about the way certain people are today that are kind of echoing what you're saying, and what I think was partially the reason, and that is if you go back 20 years ago, right, to 2001, A Space Odyssey, and what happened in September, and there was such it was one of those dividing moments I'll never forget, because we're going through it now with heavy duty division. And a lot of people I know knew the official story was nonsense, and a lot of people would get really heavy into the research, and a lot of there was a lot of angry people, and now 20 years later, 20 years go by, and there was, I mean, so many movies. There was that, remember Loose Change, and then there was this DVD that was being handed out, and everyone was like, whoa, question everything kind of thing. But then Dylan Avery, or whatever the guy's name who made it, turned into be kind of a huckster, another shilly kind of feel to it. I never went down that rabbit hole too far, but I turned the other, I saw it, but turned the other cheek. I guess, and I could go on and on. I can go on and on, because there was so much deception. There was so much revealing of the deception, and then so much covering up of the revealing of the deceptions, that there came a time not too long ago, in the last few years, where people started. I'm starting to hear myself echo all over the place again, Brian. So I'm almost done though. And it got to the point where people were too tired to even talk about it. It's like a numbness that I had, and that I see in a lot of people, a numbness, just a heavy feeling that, good Lord, every word I read, every rabbit hole I went down, every person I argued with, every show, television show, every video I watch, every blah blah blah, it just all of a sudden hit a lot of us like a bomb that went off, that, oh man, this is never gonna, it's never gonna be, it doesn't seem like there's any chance that people will ever kind of realize what happened to them. And that was enough to almost make me not want to get out of bed for my job. Because on top of that, on top of these feelings, I had the stress of work and being part of a job that I lost faith in. And I wasn't, in no way, none of these things, in none of these areas of my life, Was I able to apply faith in myself? I was too busy worried about these other things. And so I'm that's changed for me, but not, I wouldn't say full credit. I'm still trepid. I'm still tiptoeing a little bit. I'm still trying to toe the line a little bit because I'm not trying to fight with everybody I see about certain things. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. When you explain that you're, tired or you're down and then you talked about how do you get other people that don't have the access to the education, or what about them? They don't eat. None of us are eating real food anymore. None of us are getting the nutrients we need. At least, definitely not here in California, but that's probably a worldwide phenomenon at this point. Everything's been genetically modified. The soil's been damaged. Whatever. So yeah. No, I've heard these ways, but it's to me all comes down to a lack of faith and credit.
I'm not, and you may be correct on that, and there may be more to it than that. And that's what you believe. I believe that we're all going to die one of these days, and one day I'll be dead, maybe sooner than later. And I believe that death is something that we shouldn't fear. And more than likely, 100 years from now, no one will even remember my name or who I was. And that goes for about 99.9% of humanity. I think we all perhaps may desire immortality, but that's not necessarily a possibility. I see I've struck a funny chord with you, Joey, but that's just, oh wait. You're on mute and you're talking.
The promise of the promise the promise of eternal life. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's the church. That's the Roman Catholic Church right there. Who wants to live under civil law? Not me.
I guess for a lot of people, the prospect of continuing to live amongst loved ones under most circumstances is something that would be enjoyable. Some people enjoy living under the rules and the laws because for them it gives them clarity and meaning for life. And again, I'm not a religious person, but there are certain religious doctrines that I now look at, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason why. And I've seen the other side of life. I've seen the nasty side of life. And I, for one, have a preference for, living with some rules and regulations and people having restraint. And, think about this. Would the world really be worth living if it was just you and nobody else?
I'm sorry, I missed that question. What?
Suppose you were the last man on Earth. No one was on there. Would the world be worth living?
Being the only person that I have control over, yeah, I better make the best of that.
I think it would be a terrible place. Just with me, and since I lost my parents, and I used to be one of those types of people that thought you don't need anybody, and then when I lost my parents, I realized I've come with a different perspective on that. Human beings need, we need to have other people around us. I mean, it's or it could even be a want, but it's the strongest want. If there was, I mean, try being alone and not having any contact around you. Do it for a week. Then what you say, live on a desert island with nobody. Go out with your food and your water, and just and see how long you can take it. I think people do need human companionship. I think people desire it. There are some people that don't, that like their solitude, and I enjoy my solitude. I probably enjoy my solitude more than I enjoy company as of now, but I certainly do like human contact and human interaction. You put yourself on mute, Joe.
I'm sorry. I'm looking something up.
So as Joe is looking up something, I will say that I have found, for me personally, that human contact is one of the reasons why people live. Without human contact, I don't think that life itself would be meaningless. Well, what is the meaning of life if not to be around others? I mean, I guess one of the reasons is to procreate with another human being, and I haven't done that, and Joe hasn't done that, not that I know of anyway, but it's one of the main reasons why human beings live and survive. Anyway, Joe, I am getting rather tired, and I want to get ready for bed, so I would like to kind of end it. Is there
Yeah. I was trying to remember this phrase. That it's the journey of the dead. It's a Spanish phrase, and it's kind of like this hypnotic state I feel people are in. And unfortunately, you're not going to like this. It goes back to that fateful day in Dealey Plaza, where when the king was killed. JFK was shot and killed, and it's an interesting thing. It's almost like a state of hypnosis, and we had that nuclear test site over there in New Mexico. You may recall that, which is another just a really interesting alchemical shift in the world and the global mindset. And there's a million other stories along this journey, the journey of the dead. And I think it's and everything that led up to 2001 and then in the 20 years since, which has just been a hailstorm along this journey of the dead, with all these ridiculous, just every news story, every event that's perceived as, do you ever feel, do people ever tell you, you can't watch the news anymore? So every story is so depressing. It's always that way, right? But now there's people, I don't know. I don't want to go down that road. I know, but I don't want to talk about it tonight. We've already, my ADD is kicking in. But we've really, I mean, seriously, there's all of these are ideas I could do whole shows on, and I'd love to. They require that kind of attention. Some of these ideas, one single idea can be enough to just cover and move on from, understand what it means, and do it. You should read a book review I recently did too on this book that I just read. Really good book that talks about these sort of ideas. And Michael Hoffman wrote a book in 1999. It was published in early 2001. And he just wrote a second part to it. And one day we'll do a show on, where I could read my review and maybe have a little discussion about this author or these ideas. That's it. I think we're good.
All right. So, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below.
Yes.
I'll end on this. We're all going to die one day. One day we'll all be dead. And
until that time, know your worth. Sorry, go ahead. That was your final exit.
He says, know your worth, and know your worth. Know what you're worth. Go out and do what you got to do. You're only going to live once, and then you'll be dead. And we're not promised immortality. And no one will probably know who we are when we're dead. And we're not necessarily even promised an afterlife. Anyway, this has been Brian with Transparency and Merit. Like, subscribe, and if you vote thumbs down, you should leave a comment on why you voted thumbs down. Don't just vote thumbs down. And also visit our website. We're still working on that, transparencyandmerit.com. Thank you for listening.